Franco, I want to bring up one item that I just learned about yesterday that you guys have highlighted at the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. I said association at the beginning, which is that Trudeau is expanding the powers of the CRA to the point where they are suggesting that the CRA can do your taxes. Is that not a huge conflict of interest?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm very, very worried about this. This is a CRA power grab, folks. Now, let me tell you why this is such a bad idea to let the government file your taxes. You might be saying, well, hey, that removes some stress from me. No, it doesn't. Here's why. It's a fundamental conflict of interest. As a law-abiding Canadian taxpayer, you want to get as much money as yours back legally from the government, right? That is your responsibility and your right. But the CRA has the exact opposite incentive. The CRA, the taxman, the government, wants to keep as much revenue as it can from you. So there is a fundamental conflict of interest here. Moving on to another issue, the CRA is completely incompetent, right? It handed out hundreds of CERB checks during the pandemic, 391, to dead people. Completely incompetent. Not only that, but let's not forget that not too long ago, during tax season, the CRA went on strike. So if we give the CRA more powers to do your
Oh,
tax
wow.
return, what's going to happen next time they decide to go on strike for these huge raises that they're demanding?
Which they did get those raises, didn't they?
Oh, they got some raises. Now, the unions in general at the federal government, they didn't get as big of raises as they wanted, thanks in part to the Canadian Taxpayers Federation that was shining a light on some of their ridiculous demands. For example, the PSAC was pushing for up to a 47% compensation increase over the time of the contract. They even wanted more money to work past 4 p.m. Catherine, you know what
Right.
most people call working past 4 p.m.? Monday to Friday.
Yes, great point. And, I think that a lot of our viewers listening to this are going to be enlightened, and we're talking about a number of items that people aren't aware of, particularly the CRA filing your taxes. I mean, that should have everybody, jumping up and down. And I want everybody to recognize too, they can go to your website again and they can read and learn and stay abreast of this information. And if they are inclined, they can also donate to your organization. And again, it's nonprofit and unbiased. You're trying to shed light on these items, which I think are so important and critical to Canadians.
That's absolutely right. I'm so glad you said that. Taxpayer.com. And remember, folks, we don't take a cent from the government, never have, never will. That keeps us unbiased and able to hold the government, regardless of which party's in power, accountable. And folks, let's
Right.
just go back to the CRA power grab here, right? If you look at the entire federal bureaucracy, the federal government has increased by 98,000 employees under the Trudeau government, a 40% increase. So do we really want the government to balloon even further, even more costs for taxpayers to pay?
Yeah, great point. We're going to end it though on a slight positive. If you're frustrated right now, it is frustrating. You should feel frustrated. But Franco, there was a really important win at the Supreme Court level having to do with pipelines. Can you explain?
Absolutely. I am so pumped. And I think all Canadian resource workers and all taxpayers should be super happy about this. The Supreme Court ruled against Mr. Trudeau's No More Pipelines law, but really, it is a No More Big Resources Project law. Okay. So the Supreme Court essentially said, Mr. Trudeau, you cannot use this piece of legislation to prevent premiers, whether it's Francois Legault, Danielle Smith, or Scott Moe, from building resource projects in their provinces and getting Canadian workers to work in those provinces, right? So good for jobs, good for investment, good for the economy, also great for taxpayers. Because when politicians roadblock these resource projects, taxpayers pay. These resource projects create the billions and billions of dollars that governments use to build hospitals, to fix roads, to hire teachers, and to lower taxes. So the CTF, we were official interveners in this Supreme Court case, and the Supreme Court victory is great news for taxpayers and all Canadians.
Yeah, and important just to pick up on that point. You and your team, you shined a light on this aspect and saw it through, and it benefits Canadians and Canadian taxpayers. Franco, great to be with you as always. Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.